I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. Before we begin today's episode, which is a preview against the Miami Dolphins, the Hard Knocks in season Miami Dolphins, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot?
Share this shit. Miami's going to win. Let's end this.
Let's just go ahead and get started. So, as we typically do, we start with the preview of the team we're about to play, or in this case is about to rail us. And then we go ahead with the Miami Dolphins offense against the Commanders defense, and then the Miami Dolphins defense against our Commanders offense. We have our predictions. We have the common mailbag. We have the after the pod, but we got to begin with a bit of a shakeup in the coaching staff. So it was reported by Adam Schefter that the Commanders had picked up a new secondaries coach. So, of course, Brent Vieselmeyer and Jack Del Rio are gone. And according to clutchpoints.com, we made what is called an interesting move by picking up secondaries coach Jim Salgado. Was with Michigan State this past season, was with the Buffalo Bills 6 years prior to that. K-Dot, would you describe this move as interesting? Do you agree with clutchpoints.com?
Depends on what you find interesting. So it's like if nothing's happening in life, you're really searching for stuff to like it could be considered interesting. It is a little interesting. Yeah, it's a little interesting. I'm trying to convince myself that it's interesting. Interesting.
Not sure it is.
But that's the thing is like the move happens. Jack's gone. We knew coming out of last season and this season, nobody knew who the fuck Brent Vieselmeyer is.
Brent V.
We did know who Chris Harris was. And
Yes.
we knew that Chris Harris was a dude in which we were looking at the secondary and we could see while they had their hiccups at times, there was a secondary that was getting better. They had some guys that were turning into what looked like potentially Pro Bowlers, and Cam Curl and Benjamin St. Juice looked really good at certain times. And there was a bit of excitement that, like, all right, Emmanuel Forbes is coming into town. And if this secondary can still teach people at the same level that they were teaching, okay, this could be interesting.
All right.
And then the secondary is worse than any of us could ever imagine it being, right? So, like, then all right, so you think of, all right, well, who the fuck was Brent Vieselmeyer? We probably should have had that conversation months ago, but none of us did. And you go to find out he coached high school. Del Rio knew him. He gets fucking hired. They oust another guy that was doing something for us, as we do in the front office, in the coaching staff, in the fucking players. We never keep guys that we should keep. And the thing is that if you hear people talk about this defense, right, everybody hears the Isaiah Hodges comment as far as the New York Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Predictable. Everybody knows it. You've heard me talk about this defense
man.
you've heard me talk about this defense being vanilla as fuck. But then you also hear from some people and the reporters coming out, like training camp and everything, about the complexity, and the players themselves talk about the complexities of the defense, especially when it comes to secondary. Apparently, the word is, when you're really looking at it and you're breaking down and you're watching all 22, it's really hard to know if somebody's out of position or not in position as far as what the defense itself calls. There seems to be some real complexities to the secondary in this defense. I don't know if that's a Jack Del Rio stalwart thing. I don't know if that's a Chris Harris stalwart thing, but apparently the defense is kind of hard to learn as far as the secondary goes. The defensive line is where you get to as far as saying they have no real complexities as far as the way that they're doing the pass rush or anything. They're not really working off of each other, and they're predictable regardless of how complicated the secondary is.
And actually, to that point, K-Dot, Ron Rivera has made it very clear that he wants to simplify the defense. So going from training camp, where you mentioned that it was a bit more complex and we can't tell from the all 22 whether someone's in position or not, the hope moving forward is that this does get simpler. Now, from Jim Salgado's perspective, and congrats on the job, new secondaries coach over here.
Well,
This temporary, but the move makes sense, right? Because he was at Michigan State this season. So for him, he's going from college back to the NFL. He gets a quick little audition, whether he stays here, whether he goes to another NFL team. I see his perspective on the opportunity that has presented itself here. And from our perspective, hey, we moved up from high school to college. That's a start. That's good. Someone to help Ron Rivera out for the time being. And we're going to see how this works out. I mean, again, he got hired this week and we have a game this Sunday. And why don't we talk about that game, K-Dot?
Yeah, he's going to come back up.
Against the Miami Dolphins. The 2023 version of the Miami Dolphins, pretty fun, just like the 2022 version, except this season, currently, Tua Tagovailoa has not suffered multiple concussions, and knock on wood for that. It's good to see him healthy. It is fun to watch Tua when he is in complete control of that Dolphins offense, featuring Tyreek Hill, featuring Jaylen Waddle. And then on the other side of the ball, they suffered a big injury with Jalen Phillips, who's one of their better edge rushers. So he is done for the season. He will not be playing against us, but they still have Bradley Chubb. They still have Jalen Ramsey. They still have Javon Holland. He has missed both practices so far. Javon Holland has, with knees, plural. That's what's listed on the injury report. So hopefully for us, he doesn't play, but it's a loaded roster. K-Dot, what do you make of the 2023 version of the Miami Dolphins, the 8-3 Miami Dolphins?
They're fucking great, man. Like they're all right. They're really fun to watch, as you said. They're extremely fun to watch. I think everybody's watching Hard Knocks now. I'm behind. I watched half of episode 1. I need to get caught up. I got frustrated watching the beginning. I'm like, why don't I have a coach like this? And then it just said,
I know there's a lot of wishful thinking that occurs when you're watching that. Oh wait, he was in the building, wasn't he?
Yeah, and when you Google Mike McDaniel's name, you go to Google image searches. I try to do for the thumbnail, and they have photos of him wearing Redskins gear, and I'm like, we suck. We fucking suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Dolphins team is damn good. I mean, if you're looking at them offensively, number 1 in the league as far as yardage, number 2 in points. Defensively, there's a discrepancy between the points and the yardage, but we usually go by yardage. And if you're going by yardage, 7th ranked as far as the defense goes. They have played some outstanding games. I mean, everybody remembers the shellacking that they gave the Denver Broncos as far as the 70-20 early in the season. But this is a team that's been getting better, I think, as time has kind of gone on. You look at early in the season, Jalen Ramsey not being there. They get him back. The secondary is starting to look better. The offense is running like a well-oiled machine. The thing with Miami that everybody kept talking about is like, well, if you interrupt the rhythm or this, that, and the other, then you'll be up. They're just chugging along. They're continually getting better. They're understanding that they have to learn when they face certain adversity. And this is starting to become like a more battle-tested team that understands what it is they have to do if things don't quite go their way, or if somebody of another team gets to a point where they're strategizing against them. Like you get Mike McDaniels is becoming more Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, in the sense of he can scheme or do things on the fly or understand and talk to his players and get them in the right position. The Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders. We're not in that conversation. That's all you really need to know about this Dolphins team. They're fun as shit. They're fast as shit. And they'll be playing a lot longer than we will.
I love when you have media members and fans just saying, well, if you just interrupt their rhythm. Well, 8 teams have failed to do that so far. So it's not exactly an easy thing to do. It is easy to say. It is easy to identify from the couch. But when you see that level of speed, very, very hard to guard.
They've lost to 3 teams in this season. The teams that they've lost to are the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Buffalo Bills. Come on, guys.
3 good teams. We've lost to 2 of them. And so we are going to go ahead and jump over to a very high-octane Miami Dolphins offense. Again, featuring Tua Tagovailoa at QB. You've got Mike McDaniel, the boy wonder, over there as their head coach. And you've got Tyreek Hill on one side, Jaylen Waddle on the other, Raheem Mostert in the backfield, and then a rookie named Achane, who's averaging just the 11.8 yards per carry. And so we need to figure out how to stop that. K-Dot, can we?
No. So the Miami speed. They have the fastest guys in the league. I think they were showing that I was on that Hard Knocks episode. They had that stat, Liev Schreiber, love him, talking about the fact that like of the up to that point, which is 2 weeks ago, I don't think anybody's beaten it since. The 5 fastest recorded speeds in the NFL were all Miami Dolphins, including Tyreek Hill, who 22 miles an hour in a fucking play. They're fucking nuts. And the thing is, when you hear that, as far as speed, you'd expect a team that's just like throwing bombs down the field and really a finesse sort of team. And while they are that, once again, speed, it is what it is. They are a run first, run the ball down your fucking throat team. And that's the thing. There's a physicality when it comes to also this fucking speed that is legit with them. That's the thing. You look at just the rushing stats are off the fucking chart. You just said as far as Achane and how much he's averaging a fucking carry. They show so many different things on the offense just to confuse you. The idea, what they've been doing all season, as far as like putting Tyreek Hill in motion, where just to take 2 or 3 plays out the fucking play because you have to respect them. So Tyreek's just kind of like, I'm just gonna run over this way, and I know you guys have to follow me. So like, but the ball's clearly not coming to me. Then we're gonna run it. But hey, I'm just taking 2 or 3 of your guys out of the entire field of play because of how much you need to respect this motherfucker. They are scary. They're terrifying. That whole thing all season where it's like, if you hit Tua Tagovailoa, then you'll be in a position to potentially do something. As you said, there were 8 teams that did not do that. And when I look at this Washington pass rush, we haven't generated shit. Like, you look at that Dallas Cowboy game that we're all coming off of, still reeling from that loss. The one thing that was the most glaring on my rewatch, which I don't know why I subjected myself to it, no pass rush. 0 pass rush. Dak Prescott had all fucking day to do whatever it is he wanted to do. And the thing is, Tua doesn't even need all day. He doesn't. He's one of the fastest goddamn.
Actually, Ken, if I could jump in, he's not one of the fastest. He is the fastest at getting rid of the football. So if you already go with no pass rush and he's getting rid of it quicker than anybody else, it spells trouble. Now, speaking to the Miami Dolphins as a whole, you had mentioned that they had lost to Philadelphia, to Kansas City, to Buffalo. Those are teams those are tough games for them. Mm-hmm. You could make the argument they were maybe supposed to lose those games. But when they play teams they're supposed to beat, they're very, Dallas Cowboy in that respect. On the AFC side of things, they take care of business. They make it look easy.
34 points against the New York Jets.
Very well coached. The one thing I can see being helpful for us, I'll just say helpful, is that Tua recently has turned the ball over multiple times in multiple games. Mm-hmm. So maybe, and one of those turnovers against the Jets, which is a good defense, one of those, there was no pass rush. He had all day and he just got picked off. Now, granted, that interception ended up leading to their 99-yard pick return, so they managed to make it work. But Tua has been playing not as well as he typically does. He has been turning the ball over recently. You have to hope for that. And then this really is one of those games where, again, the Dolphins average around 31 points per game. And you know what our defense allows. So you got to pray for field goals instead of touchdowns. You got to hope for maybe a couple drops that are uncharacteristic. It takes stuff like that. It really does. Like when we lost to the Giants, that was 6 turnovers. When the Vikings lost to the Bears, and those were much closer games, the Vikings, Dobbs had 4 picks. So like, it's going to take something like that to be competitive. And then it's still going to take the offense to do their thing.
There you go. Be competitive. Tua's had a fumble in the last 5 games. He's thrown a pick in like 3 of the last 4 or something like that.
Correct.
It hasn't mattered. So like,
they've won 3 of those 4 games. The other one was Kansas City in Germany.
Right. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's like, no one can say under any circumstances or auspicious that Washington is in the same league as the New York Jets when it comes to defense. We're not. You might think from a talent standpoint. I'm still kind of there on the talent standpoint. I think we're really talented. I just don't think anything's going our way. And there's the idea that like, but yeah, you're talking about the pick 6. You take that off the board. They still scored 20-something points against that fucking Jets defense, and it didn't feel close at all. It's just not going to go you're saying that like the idea that if they turn the ball over, which is what we've all looked for this year, the only way that we stay in any games is if the offense fucks up, right? Because we're not dictating shit. But you add all that things to, all right, in order to even get to a point of being competitive, you need the balls to break your way. That goes without saying. We have a new defensive coordinator and a new secondary coach that now have to try to simplify something against one of if not the most complex offenses to potentially go up against. Nothing looks like it's going to go our way. Like, it's just no, like, even if you get to a point where it's like Ron Rivera can simplify and they're getting the pass rush going, all right, cool. I don't think it's like flipping a fucking light switch, and you're still missing your two best pass rushers that you've had on the team, even if they get the shit right. One's in Chicago, one's in San Francisco. We lost another one to injury, like the one of the other guys that we thought we're happy about. Deron Payne's stats as far as pass rush have been abysmal this season. Jonathan Allen, okay, that's great. But one guy against that fucking offense, the dude who throws the ball faster than anybody else in the league, like, things have to go so fucking right in a way in which it has not all season long for us. And then on top of that, you need to be lucky in order to just be competitive.
Because of how difficult this matchup is, and when you take into consideration all the circumstances around it, this goes back, at least for me, to what I had said of I just want to see this team play 4 hard quarters and play the game, not the score. So if we're down 20, play it like it's 0-0. Just do your job, and let's see what we can do from there. But it's obviously, this is an insanely tough matchup. It's this side of the ball in particular. And why don't we go ahead and jump over to the other side, because we could actually see some points on this side of the ball. So the Commanders offense, led by Sam Howell, once again, Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator, who we now know has all his fingerprints on the offense. Ron Rivera made that very clear in his press conference, where he explained the decision to let go of Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer. We've started saying his name a whole lot after he's left, by the way. But yeah, there is opportunity over here, because the Miami Dolphins have been giving up some points here and there. They have a bit more of an inconsistent unit. Now, Jalen Ramsey has come back, and that has already made a huge difference. We are still going to need our playmakers to make plays. But K-Dot, on this side of the ball, this is the more even matchup, if you will. What are you expecting to see on this side of the ball? How can we be successful against this Miami Dolphins defense?
I don't see it. So how do we? Okay. Become the Kansas City Chiefs? No, that's not an answer. Become the Philadelphia Eagles? No, that's not an answer either. What do those guys do well? Sam Howell, Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not that. Do we have the run game that Philadelphia has? No, that's not going to work. Could we the Buffalo Bills? No, that's not going to work either. Shit. So
we're going against the 23rd ranked defense here.
You're talking about points?
Yeah, I'm talking about points.
All right. And you're talking about points that are completely
yards.
Skewed.
They're 7th.
You're talking about points that are completely screwed by the first 3-4 weeks of the season, when they played a Chargers team and they were hurt as fuck.
I was trying to mislead the audience there.
And then the Buffalo Bills lit them the fuck up, right? So, like,
boy, oh boy.
Okay. So, like, beyond those things, it's like, all right. So if you're looking at offensively for Washington, they have the injury to Jalen Phillips. Cool. Christian Wilkins has looked like the best interior defensive lineman in the league at times this season.
He's been very, very good.
He's been fucking great. Then the guy that I named a little earlier is Jalen Ramsey, who only has played 4 games so far this season.
He has 3 picks.
Thank you. So it's like the secondary's only getting better. Miami's getting healthy outside of Phillips in the right time. They're playing better each weak defensively, especially the defensive pass, their passing defense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, because Miami and the points that they score on offense, it kind of eliminates your ability to have that running game, because you're going to end up having to fucking throw it. So Washington doesn't run it fucking anyway. Well, I'm sorry. We've been doing better in that regard recently. So
we have been. Shout out Brian Robinson. Love him.
All right. Here's what you need. If you're Washington, you need to run the fucking football down Miami's throat. Is that doable? I don't think so, but let's see them try. And if they do, Miami has given up 100 yards rushing twice this year. Yeah. So if so
3 times. 3 times.
Give him 100 yards.
Your point stands.
Right,
it's very
200 yards week 1.
I'm just trying to again inspire hope for our audience here.
200 yards week 1 against the Chargers in a game that no one's looking at and didn't fucking matter, right? Like,
fair enough.
Nobody's taking anything out of that fucking game. So, yeah, it's just, this is going to be tough. The last 2 games.
Oh my God, I'm just seeing it now.
2 games. 36 yards rushing, 29 yards rushing, buddy.
Is that bad?
So what does Washington have to do? You'd think that the only thing that we can do is the same thing we've talked about ad nauseum, which is run the football, keep the ball out of Miami's hands. I don't know if we're going to have success with that, because even in the sense of like we're sticking with the run at certain times, right? We still make some of the boneheaded decisions. There's still Charles Leno gets called for holding, or there's some sort of other fucking thing that goes on. We get an illegal shift or too many men in the huddle, unnecessary fucking timeout. We look fucking lost. We're in shotgun at 4th and 2 or 3rd and 2 for no fucking reason. Like I don't see it. Like I just don't see it. So then you're going to say, all right, Sam Howell, what are you going to be, bud? So like, this is once again, put it all on Sam Howell, as Eric Bieniemy loves to do, and have him just fucking throw the ball nonstop. And hopefully the gods are just in our favor and we're catching everything. It's not Terry McLaurin with 11 fucking targets and 4 goddamn catches, and none of them are past 5 yards. Like, we'll see. I don't see. Look, things can always, any given Sunday football, right? But there's not a fucking thing that you, me, or anyone else in the world could see that has happened this season that leads anyone to believe that we will have success in this game.
Here's the thing, K-Dot. We got the number one guy in passing yards this season. They haven't seen Sam Howell throw that ball.
All right, just do you also know, I know that we haven't had a bye week, so it skews the numbers a bit. Right. Do you also know that Sam Howell has dropped back over 100 times more than the second guy?
We have the number one passing leader in the NFL. Yep. We got slinging Sam Howell over here. Okay. We got Uncle Sam.
Don't do that.
You're right.
You're right. Too close to the ball, baby.
Yeah. Well, so here's.
Don't be disrespectful.
I mean, he's just going to be distributing this thing all over the field. We are going to destroy the Dolphins on this side of the ball. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson out of the backfield is how it's supposed to be. Here's what's actually going to happen. This Miami Dolphins defense is actually, since Jalen Ramsey has returned, I know we've said his name a lot, but it's very important context, because since he's come back, my goodness. Okay, again, 3 interceptions, already leads the team. The other corner, Xavien Howard. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. Most football fans have, but if you haven't, also really fucking good. So this isn't exactly, and the linebackers, Jerome Baker, Andrew Van Ginkel. We got to pray Javon Holland's not playing, because this team, you focus on their offense so much and their defense, Christian Wilkins, they just want some recognition, and they're beginning to get a whole lot of it. You need to catch these guys on a bad day. I don't know what to say. I mean, we have to do this podcast, right? I mean, this is what we do. Mm-hmm. But we also are going to be very honest with you. I don't know how we win this game. And so with that, why don't we just...
And that's why we might do it.
Jump over to the predictions, because this team also makes no sense at times. The Miami Dolphins are stunningly favored by only 9.5 points, K-Dot. I would have thought it would be 12.5, maybe 13.5, considering how everything's going, but just the 9.5. We are at home. The over under is at 49.5. I think the Dolphins could maybe hit that on their own. I'm not saying bet it. I'm just saying that's what I think. But I've also guaranteed a win on this podcast against the New York Giants before, so don't listen to me. K-Dot, as always, 9.5 point spread in favor of the Dolphins, 49.5 total. Over under. I need a score. I need a winner. I need a player of the game.
Just quickly, goddamn, dude. That point, the spread. We're playing at home, and they give a bump usually if you fire a coach that sucks.
That's the bump.
That's the bump.
The bump is 9.5.
Yeah. Miami averages 30 points a game, I think, roughly.
31.
That's average, right? And
that's average.
Right. So I look at this Washington defense and I say, are we average? Oh, no, we're the worst in the league. Okay.
We are the worst in the league. Yes.
Got it. So I'm going to say, let's go 47 to 23. Miami.
Both scores are surprising. Both scores are surprising in that I could see Miami scoring more, considering they've scored 70 this year. And I could see the Commanders scoring less.
I think they take their foot off the gas.
That's really sweet of them. Okay.
I just think that you get to this point in the season, because that's the other thing is you look at Miami's schedule. we're really the only thing left as far as like a cup. Well, no, the Titans, I guess, are cupcakes, but they just got to take care of these 2 cupcake teams and then be healthy for the final 3.
Okay, sounds good. So, and who's your player of the game? Probably Tua. I would guess 47.
Yeah, let's go Tyreek Hill.
Okay,
because
cool.
in our fantasy league, I have both Dolphins receivers.
Oh, you were going to. Good for you. Congrats on your win.
Thanks.
I am going to go. Here's the thing, K-Dot. I don't know the stats on this. I don't know how often a team will get thoroughly blown out 2 weeks in a row. I also think that this team is at home. They actually play as a decent underdog. So I think they could slow down the Dolphins a little bit randomly. You can't explain it. I think they're just able to. With that being said, Miami 38, Washington 20. I expect this to be a covered spread. I expect that, similar to Dallas, that maybe we're able to keep up. Maybe we get punched in the mouth early, 7-0, but maybe they stay at 7 for a little bit. And then they will make an adjustment. We will not make an adjustment. And we will be confused by said adjustment. And the second half will once again get away from us. So I think Miami 38 and the Commanders 20. Like you had mentioned, this Miami Dolphins team likes to run the ball. Give me Raheem Mostert as their player of the game. I think he runs for 2, maybe even 3 scores. Achane gets 1 as well. I think Tua actually doesn't really have to do that much. You would expect Tua to do a whole lot. This is how Vegas gets you. You're just going to be like, oh, Tua, 2 touchdowns? Yeah, he could do that. Then he just throws for 1. It's very weird, very annoying. Lose a lot of money. So that's what I think is going to happen there, K-Dot.
As you were talking, I started doing some research over here just to make myself feel better about your prediction, because I'm like, oh, he thinks like it's closer than I think it'll be. It'll be forecast call for rain.
That helps.
Does help.
Helps with the run game too.
It does. I mean, as far as like so maybe the point total is not that harsh because they just have to run the ball on us and they're not throwing nonstop. Yeah, I don't see this being pretty.
Yeah, same. But we would be curious to hear from you guys in the comment mailbag, which is where we head right now. And we have 3 comments this week and really appreciate all of you for commenting. Let's go ahead and begin with Tony. Shout out, Tony. The thumbnail for this video is fire. If you haven't seen the thumbnail for the last video, K-Dot, you know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about. It is absolutely brilliant. Shout out to K-Dot for making it.
We're all going to hell. If you laughed at it, you're going to hell.
It's true. K-Dot showed it to me and said, hey, I don't know that we should do this. And I will be totally honest. I laughed and I greenlit it immediately. So if you're going to get upset about it, blame me, not him. All right. So Tony goes, the thumbnail for this video is fire. Also, I saw posts on X, Twitter, saying Brent Vieselmeyer was a high school football coach before joining Del Rio's staff, and he's only worked in the NFL under Del Rio. This explains a lot. We're a joke. He also got a like and a thumbs up on that comment. So we have people in agreement already because I totally agree. K-Dot?
Yeah, I mean, there's there's nothing to disagree on. And also the what is his motherfucker's name? Jim Delgado?
Jim Salgado.
Delgado.
He can earn his name with you. Don't worry about it. Got your back.
Yeah, at least he has NFL experience because he was in Buffalo for 2 years. So that's a step up.
Yeah. Yeah, it does certainly help. Okay. And then we go over to, and you know what? He's played against last year's Miami Dolphins. So maybe he knows a thing or two. Maybe he knows a thing or two, K-Dot. We didn't talk about that.
Mel
the knowledge
Tucker,
he brings to the table.
He was with Mel Tucker before he got fired in Buffalo, and Buffalo's had a pretty good defense, and he was also learning under Sean McDermott. There's something there.
Wow. What a school. And then we
maybe they should have hired him before the season.
Dennis, 2782. Shout out, Dennis. Ron Rivera as defensive coordinator with Chicago and, at the time, the San Diego Chargers. He was really good, much better than as a head coach. And actually, that is true. Ron Rivera was a very, very good defensive coordinator during those days. It's what got him his head coaching position. A very good defensive coordinator. It is, though, a tall task going against the Miami Dolphins immediately after the shellacking we took to the Dallas Cowboys. K-Dot, what do you make of that comment?
Ron Rivera was defensive coordinator for 6 years in Chicago and San Diego before he became a head coach in Carolina. As far as his defensive rankings, and we go that by yards, right? So yards as far as defenses go. And I'm just gonna run down 21st, 2nd, 5th, 25th, 6th, and 1st. That last one, the 2010 San Diego Chargers, if anybody hasn't, they are considered, in my opinion, they're the greatest football team of all time that didn't make the playoffs.
Okay, I was gonna say, whoa. Okay, cool.
They actually
heavy qualifier.
Special. Well, all right.
Greatest team ever to never make the playoffs.
SB Nation, they know a secret base right now. I want everyone to do this. If you love me, if you like me, do this.
I'm going to do it, K-Dot.
They have a video about the 2010 San Diego Chargers. I implore you to watch it.
Well, maybe you just drop it in the comment mailbag, K-Dot, and I'll read it out to people. How about that? We're going to go over to Jess Anto. Shout out, Jess. And appreciate the comment there, Dennis. I'm curious to see how bad the Dolphins annihilate our secondary. I really hope I assume they in this case is us, the Washington Commanders, and not the Miami Dolphins. No, Jess has been in the common mailbag numerous times, so we know what you mean. Really hope they draft Penn State's left tackle with our first pick. And for those that don't know, that's Olu Fashanu. I've seen a number of Penn State games. He is the real deal. He is projected to be the first left tackle off the board. So I also hope so. Howell has been under constant pressure this entire season. The O-line needs to be addressed. Howell would be dissecting defenses with the Eagles' offensive line. K-Dot, what do you make of the comment? Appreciate the comment there, Jess.
Love the comment. As is most people, I'm looking forward to next season, as we've talked about as far as the cap space and everything else. I love that tackle from Penn State. I personally am more of a Joe Alt guy. Okay. I hate
Notre Dame, right?
I fucking despise Notre Dame, but they've had like 3 of my favorite players come out of their school at the last few years. You guys know how huge I was on Kyle Hamilton. You know how huge. So like, my favorite player last year in the draft was Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, and Joe Out to me, he reminds me of Joe Thomas, which is he does not have the physical gifts that that our Penn State guy has. Olafashano has. But I just think he's cerebral, which did just sound like I was codedly racist.
Yes.
Now I'm thinking about it.
I was gonna let that sit.
Fuck. Self-hating.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you play a team like the Miami Dolphins. Just things sort of subconsciously come out.
I'm not his name is Joe Alt. How easy would it be Joe Alt, right?
Could be. We don't know any of his political lead.
It's a good nickname.
Well, there is something there.
There's a good nickname. That's a good nickname. I want Joe. But I also will say that as I've been talking to other people, if Marvin Harrison is there, I like shiny new toys.
Don't you dare. No.
And also, my favorite guy probably outside of Joe Alt, and I wouldn't care if they did this in the first top 5, and I'd be fired immediately if I was GM, but I want Brock Bowers.
This was the show. This was District Divided, DC Sports Podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. The impulsive idiot is K-Dot. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Comment as you always do. And K-Dot.
Draft Marvin Harris. Share that shit.
Really appreciate you guys, as we always do. We will see you for the aftermath after this Miami Dolphins game.
You got the shades ready?
No, I don't.
That should break mine.
After the pod begins, right?
We're not winning another game.
No.
Rodgers could be back.
I don't think he's coming back.
Everybody keeps saying, I've been predicting this ever since he went down. I'm like, he's coming back this season. He's fucking coming back.
No. Hold on. I want to be very, very clear. I think he's able to come back. I don't think he's going to. Because even if they're eliminated, just to prove that he could do it.
Yep.
I could see that.
I think that there's a chance we're playing Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God. You think that's his first game back? That's Christmas Eve, right?
What
that would be
better
fun.
way to fucking come back than our shit fucking defense to just light us up.
Actually, if he were to come back, what better game to come back? Right? I mean, that is, and he would light us up on Christmas Eve. Jets fans would be like, oh my God, we don't have a pass rush. It would, now on the other side, it would be contrasting sort of bad luck histories. What would give? Would Aaron Rodgers get hurt again because he's kind of immobile? Or would he actually overcome? We might be able to. It's not like the Jets' offensive line is money. We went against a good Dallas offensive line. That's why we didn't have a rush.
We didn't touch them. I'm saying that it doesn't matter. We have the worst defense in the league. We couldn't touch. We could barely touch Tommy DeVito in the second half.
Oh
and, you know, get fucking Aaron Rodgers.
Well, early on, I mean, 9 sacks.
I said second half.
Yeah, you did. God, we suck, dude. We both projected 10 wins for this team.
Yeah, because we didn't think that.
We need to look ourselves in the mirror. This is the second straight year we have said this team's going to make the playoffs.
No,
this
fuck
is
that.
The second straight year.
Nope.
We need to take coaching into account moving forward. We look at the talent on paper. We agree it's a talented team. That's probably where our pick is coming from, right?
This is a talented team. I'm rejecting.
I know. I'm agreeing with you.
Right. So my thing is, I'm not looking myself in the fucking mirror at all on this. I knew that the prediction going into this season was fine. I'm done. It was fine. Now, here's the thing. Early on, it looked very not fine. And I think we did a fairly good job of adapting to that.
We did.
Except for a couple of your fucking predictions out of fucking nowhere. But
which ones?
You know what you did. Then beyond those things, like, look, man, last year's team was solid. They have talent. And the idea that, like, you look at this team and you say, we're a quarterback away. What you don't expect is, yeah, you get Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator, right? But you don't expect him to completely scrap any possible thing that was working in a positive direction on the offense to bring in something new. Usually you talk about offense coordinators and guys, the ones that don't have their heads up their asses, they say, I need to adapt to the personnel that I have, right? And if you adapt to the personnel, the strengths of this team last year was the running back core. And if we're not even utilizing them until week 11 in the fucking season, like, he made a joke in the press conference, like, I've been joking with Ryan Robertson that he's more of a wide receiver than a running back. Motherfucker, he's a running back.
He's very much a running back. He runs people over all the time, by the way.
I'm perfectly cool with them receiving the ball out of the backfield, but he's primarily a fucking running back, and treat him as such. And you're just getting around to this thing. The defense fell off the fucking face of the earth. Like, I don't know if it was the Chris Harris thing. We've been an up and down defense. We knew that the defense was most likely going to be worse than it was better this year. But what I didn't expect was the run game was going to disappear and it wasn't going to help out the defense at all. And as far as the defense, like, this is the first time I've seen them be just lost. I've seen them not play cohesively as a unit. I've seen them take long to catch on. I've not seen them look completely lost. And that's the thing, is beyond the defensive line, who I don't think are working with anybody. The defensive line are just kind of doing their own thing. And the rest of the team, linebackers on, just look like they don't know what the fuck is going on.
I did see us run a stunt 2 weeks ago. Did you see that?
Yeah, we do it occasionally.
We ran one.
No, we do it occasionally. But here's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's the coaching. I think it's two of the linebackers looking at each other. Hey, you want to run that? You want to do that?
You think they were just like, hey, we're going to do it.
I'm like, that's where I'm at on it. Because, like, man, the defensive line do not do. It feels as though what Jack Del Rio tells the defensive line to do every play is go pass rush.
Get up. As an aside from all the football, because, man, it's been tough. I did want to tell you that today I was just scrolling through Twitter and I found the entire Barbie movie on.
I was watching that.
Someone just posted it. Did you also on Twitter or did you? Oh, nice. Okay, so you saw.
And I realized, who the fuck watches movies on Twitter?
Well, so I think that's going to become a thing. First of all. Because that was the first time I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should watch that. I didn't watch it, but I've been told by multiple people that I would really enjoy it. And I'm curious as to, given that you've seen it, do you agree with that take that I would enjoy the Barbie movie?
Is this Ahmed or A-Train?
This is Ahmed. What about A-Train?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
A-Train get coked up. Margot Robbie's hot. Let's fucking go.
Oh my gosh.
I'll do lines off of fucking.
By the way, A-Train made an appearance this weekend.
A-Train will do lines off of Ryan Gosling's cock. Let's go.
Speaking of, I owe you images.
Yeah.
I owe you images for some AI generation for
Ryan Gosling's
for a
cock.
potential photo.
No,
just want to make sure that's out there. You know what it's for.
Yes.
We've talked about it, but I can't say anything more on it. And a couple people that are watching this right now that I know watched through the whole thing will also know what it's about. But sorry to the rest of you. I cannot say it this time. Maybe I can mention what it is. Sunday night.
Well, if I mean, I wouldn't. I think you've gone too far. I also think you've just incriminated me, and I don't feel like going on the run like you had to earlier this fucking year. So I don't appreciate you dragging me down the fucking mud with you.
First off, it's not nearly as hard as you think to go on the run. You could frankly go on a
Gosling's cut. What?
Power walk if you want to. You will be fine. You'll be fine. The level of disorganization when they try and catch you, you're fine, dude. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but all the countries I like will extradite.
That makes it tough. That does make it tough.
Yeah, the countries I want to go to, they're like, oh no, we'll send it.
What are some of the countries you want to go to?
Like, if I had to, like, it's pretty much all of Europe is cool with me, and only one of them, like, is
all of Europe is cool with you.
Mostly.
You looked in the mirror. You sure?
Oh, fair enough. Touche. Damn, you just fucking killed that.
Walked right into that.
No, you're right. I would fucking get murdered in some of them. Think I might.
Yeah. I'm looking out for you, just to be clear.
Nah,
you would be fine in most of it, but I'm just making sure.
Most of Europe. Most of Europe is fine.
Okay.
But even like, I don't know. I'm a jovial fella. I think that, like, I can get by most of it.
Yeah. Oh no, you're lovable. Don't get me wrong. Once people get to know you, I'm just worried they wouldn't even try.
My thing is, like, most countries, regardless of where you're at, the idea that, like, if I'm not going to face a death penalty, which I won't for what it is you're asking me to do, I'll just go to jail for a long time. They'll be like, yeah, fuck it.
Long.
Let the fat fuck go back.
You would do that for me though, right? Like, you love me.
I was more inclined to do it before you incriminated me on camera. Now I'm just saying.
Okay.
You gotta. Yeah, that's the thing. You just, like, I remember.
I'll just edit that part out. Don't worry about it. Don't rewatch this episode.
But I will definitely, like, snitching on you when you want fucking.
I'll edit that out. Don't even worry. Don't watch the episode, but don't worry about it. Be good.
Just saying. But yeah. What the fuck are we talking about?
We just talked about countries that would extradite you.
Oh yeah. There are tons of countries I
and
really
if you
like.
Mirror.
But I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but I qualify for dual citizenship with Jamaica. I've thought about it.
There you go.
Because if you're a Jamaican citizen, you also qualify for a thing called CARICOM.
What's that?
And CARICOM is like the Central American Caribbean's version of the European Union to a certain degree.
Oh.
So what it allows you to do is, like, basically have citizen rights to a bunch of Caribbean countries and a bunch of Central and South American countries. So, like, cool. If I do this, I can own land in Belize. Most people can't own land in Belize, but I can. Or if I get the dual citizenship, is what I said. I would skip the line. It's kind of like, it'd be like I have a pass to go through fucking anywhere. It'd be pretty kind of dope. But certainly, once again, any one of those countries would say, for 500 fucking pesos, send that fat fuck back.
Hey, I got a question for you, and just in relation to maybe being on the run. If you were to own land in Belize, and let's say you had a really nice villa there or something like that, I don't know. It's you probably have something like that. If a convict approached you and said, "Hey, I really need a place to stay," you have that villa, how much are you charging?
It depends on the convict.
Okay. What's the convict?
And it depends on what the convict did.
Okay.
If this is like
so you have a rate based on what they did.
Sort of. Like, am I going to harbor a terrorist?
I don't
know.
For
the right fee. It's going to be very expensive. But
so how much would that be?
Well, what kind of terrorism?
That's a good point. There's so many different kinds.
This is like former IRA.
Sure.
They blew up a bus in like 94.
Yeah, they blew up a bus in 94.
About that anymore.
Yeah. But he's still nervous, or she.
Yeah, but like England and everything is just like, all right, fuck it, we're just not dealing with this shit anymore.
Yeah,
like,
but you in Belize with the villa, yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever. I'd want a few $100,000 a year.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, I'd want a few $100,000 a year, but then I'd also he'd be in a very small shack on the edge of the property, and I'd have plausible deniability and say that I didn't even know he was there. It's not a part of the property. I guess.
Oh yeah, no, you got to get the paperwork straight.
Right. So like, if it's like what's his name, Eduardo Saverin, the fucker that helped found Facebook.
He's in the social network, right?
Yeah.
Is that based on a true story? I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay, Eduardo Saverin.
You almost got me. So that fucker, he's hiding out in South America now because he's done all kinds of shit. But it's usually
Is he actually in hiding? What did he do?
I have fucking all kinds of financial shit, apparently, from what I understand. But I don't know all the details. But like, if that fucker came to me and was like, "I want your property to hide on," I need percentage points on what you made on
100%. No, and that's just good business. You'd be
and I'd
crazy
be right there with
to.
him. Like, we'd be straight. Like, I'd be like, "Yo, you come over? We eat popcorn. Like,
Get him on the pod. Let's talk about it.
Like, let's roll." Like, how do you think Andrew Garfield did in that movie? Playing you, bud. Like,
yeah,
let's fucking do it. Like, yeah, it just depends. Murderers, who'd you murder? Serial killers, I don't really fuck with, even though I want to talk to them. I'm not talking to a serial killer.
Are you talking like Mindhunter? Like, you want to chat with them, like get into their mind?
Yes.
Like, why they? Okay.
So, like, I've talked in my life. I've talked with multiple people that have murdered.
Mm-hmm.
I've never talked. I've talked to one person who's murdered more than one person, but I wouldn't call him a serial killer, right? So, like, but I'd love to talk. I wouldn't mind talking to a serial killer. That's funny.
Interesting.
Curious.
That's something I learned about you just then.
I like the seedier sides of things. I like to know the underbelly of stuff. Like, when I got here to Baltimore, first off, oh my God, the fucking places I was going to. Just not that I'm partaking. I just want to know about it.
Hey, why don't they? So back to Mindhunter. I'm still stuck there. Great show.
Amazing show.
Great show. And they discontinued it because, gosh, who made it again? Not Sorkin.
David Fincher.
Fincher. That's right. Fincher. What did he go on to make? Because he wanted to make something else besides Mindhunter. That's the reason it stopped. People loved Mindhunter.
That's not the reason it stopped. I mean, he had so David Fincher is one of those filmmakers that have a relationship with Netflix. So, like, he released the movie Mank with Gary Oldman, favorite actor of all time.
Okay.
About the making of the movie Citizen Kane. So he released that on Netflix. Like, I don't think you can buy it in a physical copy at all. It's a Netflix movie.
Oh, wow.
And then he just did The Killer, which I was lucky enough to go see in the movie theater, and now it's on Netflix now. Okay. But the main reason that Mindhunter is not coming back is it's expensive as fuck. And there wasn't a lot of people that watched it. So, like, anytime you have a conversation with somebody about Mindhunter, they're watching it 4 or 5 years after the fact. That did not help Netflix.
Feels like Arrested Development, kind of.
Right, but much more expensive to do. So, like, when Arrested Development show, it's nothing to shoot. You just got to pay the actors. And if you look at Arrested Development at the beginning, most of them, they were known, but they're not going to command crazy dollar amounts. Like, Jason Bateman's rate went up exponentially since Arrested Development, right? Not with the beginning of Arrested Development. So when they come back, they have a good idea of, oh, there's a lot of people that are going to tune in for this thing. But still, the next season of Mindhunter, what Fincher had in mind was going out to LA. He wanted the show to go and be in Hollywood about the first screenwriters and authors that were leaning on these FBI behavioral unit to kind of develop characters. So, like, where does Silence of the Lambs come from and stuff like that? And in order to recreate 1970s, 80s LA takes so much more money than it does to do Quantico or Fredericksburg, Virginia. It's nuts.
Okay,
so,
I
like,
see what
in
you're
order
saying.
to do
So
that,
just the production cost was just so
hundreds of millions of dollars for a show that no one watched. And the thing is that it's really hard pressed. Even if Mindhunter were to come back, I have these conversations about Mindhunter very sporadically. It's not successful.
Right. So it's not fair enough. Fair enough. So it's not like that. I just thought of something because we were on the subject of AI. The last thing before we go. Have we thought about just asking ChatGPT or one of these models how to stop the Dolphins offense? Thank you. That was the exact cue. Because I'd be curious to see, if it has truly all that information in the large language model that dates back to Lord knows when. If they go, you know what? Studied the offenses. Know a bit about the Shanahans. Thing or two about this little scheme they have. Historically, this is what's worked. And let me tell you something. If Ron Rivera is using AI and this shit works, I'm back in. Let's get it.
All
Super Bowl.
I'm actually AI. The Washington Commanders play the Miami Dolphins this Sunday. Do some research for me. What should the game plan for Washington be to win? It is visiting a bunch of websites to learn about the matchup.
Okay.
And it should be giving me back something momentarily. Sometimes it takes a little long, but it's going pretty well.
Okay.
So we'll just see. But yeah, sure it'll have a game plan. But as I'm waiting for this, you just what if we beat them? What if the defense makes Tua's life a living hell? Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, neither of them crack 50 yards.
That would be outrageous.
Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen have like 7, 8 sacks combined. And Sam Howell does what you said could potentially happen, which is he goes off. And he throws for 4 fucking touchdowns, right? Can Ron salvage his job?
Oh, we do all that, by the way. Makes me believe we can win every single game moving forward. We got the bye week as well, where we just are feeling ourselves. The fans get to whip themselves into a frenzy, us included.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, I'm looking at the playoff picture one more time.
So Ron's in
the hunt.
So I'm saying Ron next year?
Depends on how the rest of the season goes. But yeah, it's certainly open to it. Dude, if that exact thing happens, we beat the Dolphins, we hold Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle to under 50 yards each, Payne and Allen combine for 7 or 8 sacks, there's a conversation. Rivera's got a year left on his deal. Certainly a conversation.
Just give me a non-answer.
Well, because there is no answer.
Right. So I won't read the whole thing.
Please do. Read what you think is necessary.
Yeah. Regarding a specific game plan for Washington to win, detailed strategies were not found in the sources I accessed. However, considering the strengths and weaknesses indicated by the player projection and the odds, Washington may need to focus on strong defensive strategies to counter Miami's potent offense, particularly their passing game, and maximize their own offensive opportunities to overcome the point spread. For more detailed analysis strategy, additional sources or expert insights would be required. So do the damn research.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Did it check district divided?
I could have it look through our transcripts.
Well, it should at some point. Anyway, that's a conversation for another time. We do have to roll. We appreciate you guys for listening. We will see you guys for the aftermath after this game. 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. Eastern
Have
time.
Fun, guys. Get some good snacks.
Tua bite in the middle of the game. We've seen it before.
Right.
From quarterbacks.
Have a good time with the rest of the season, man. And here's what you should be doing. Just watch some highlights on some of those draft guys. Be excited about. Start doing some research into offensive and defensive coordinators that you want to see. Create a wish list. That's where our podcast is going to pivot to outside of playoff conversation comes soon, right? So, like, we want to hear what you guys want us to be focused on when it comes to 2024 and these months kind of coming up. So I'm like, let's start having fun with this shit. Let's start looking forward to what's going to happen instead of like just being upset by every expected fucking outcome the rest of this year.
Christmas is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Happy December. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.